There was an exclusive report issued by the Kansas City Star that interviewed about 25 current and former Black officers there in the city about their varying experiences when it came to racism in their department on their police force. And per these officers, the department uses flimsy pretextual excuses to keep leadership white. And essentially, these men also happen to have receipts, internal memos, they have it all. In 2009, the US Department of Justice announced it was investigating why the number of Black officers in the KCPD was lower than expected. But the agency never released any results and declined to comment on its findings. 13 years later, the Star's investigation shows one major reason for the lack of Black officers: rampant racism inside the department. Yeah, exactly. Mind you, Kansas City is about a third Black. We're talking about 30% Black. Yet it's only about maybe 10, 11% of its police officers are Black. And this is a decline from some 25 years ago when there were more Black officers on the force. Now, the question that seems to be haunting a lot of these officers has been, if this is how the police treat their own, what's the chance do they have as regular Black citizens? And that's something that must be taken into account. As the investigation also found that police leaders have known since at least 2009 that discipline in the ranks is meted out unequally. An internal assessment never made public by KCPD showed that Black officers made up 11% of the force, but received 18% of the discipline. Yeah. And over the past 15 years, at least 18 Black officers identified by the Star have left the department because of racist treatment they endured. White officers have called their Black colleagues the N-word, and boy, made insulting comments about eating fried chicken and said Black people were lazy. Only 9% of homicide detectives who hold that coveted position in the department are Black, and the unit produces unequal results. Detectives send cases to Jackson County prosecutors for about 51% of victims who are Black men, but 73% when the victim is a white woman. This shows you from the start to the end when it comes to the system, particularly here in KCPD, it is racist. We're seeing these problems and we're seeing them permeate inside the department. So when we wonder why hate crimes aren't being reported, it's because they're being committed inside these law enforcement departments. Ray.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's horrifying. It's at every single level. I mean, there was a story a few months ago about a police chief who left on one of his deputy officers' desks who was Black, a KKK outfit as a joke. I mean, we're always hearing about racism inside police departments. We're also always hearing about sex discrimination inside police departments, sexual harassment. And we know that 40% of police officers self-admit to engaging in domestic abuse, domestic violence of their spouses. So it's again, they go out into the community in their own lives and they commit hate crimes, acts of violence. They're racist, they're sexist. Homophobia is rampant within police departments, and it doesn't stop when they enter the door. They don't leave that behind them. It continues through in their work, and we see that represented, like you showed in that data, of 50% of Black victims have the crimes committed against them sent to the prosecutor. 75% of white women. I mean, what's the explanation for that? Right, it's racism. That's it. It's just a racist system being perpetuated by racist actors.
Absolutely. And if this is one of the major departments in the United States, and this is how they act and how they treat people, it shows you that it definitely has to be elsewhere as well. We can't act like that this is an anomaly as opposed to this is being systemic. This is how the systems were built, and this is how they're expected to operate. Otherwise, they'd change. And there has been no change, although apparently they got rid of their new chief, and so they're hoping to bring about some change. But it's not something that we can expect necessarily, given that this has been the legacy of a lot of police departments, and it continues to be how a lot of these departments operate.